Hi, this is Let's Talk About It. A space where we'll be having real, honest, and faith-centered conversations about life. I'm your host, Phil Paladis. Come, let's talk about it. Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk About It. Today's episode is centered on finance, and the topic of this conversation is students and money, to spend or to save. Joining me to have this conversation is Atolagbe Phebe. Hi Phebe.
Hello, Favor.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here finally at Let's Talk About It.
All right. So today we are talking about money.
Money.
So Phoebe, if I give you 200,000 right now, like 200k, what will you do? Will you save it or will you spend it?
Right now, because I have like a lot of things I want to use money to do. So right now, I'll not save it. Then get to talk about what I will use the 200k to do right now.
Yeah, if you want to share.
Okay. So let's say I don't have any needs now. I would honestly save 200k. Right now, my
Wait. Sorry to interrupt you. If you didn't have like a pressing need, you would have saved everything.
Yes, if I don't have something to spend it on.
Okay, all right. So continue.
Yeah, but presently now, my seniors are writing their part and farm examinations. So if I have 200k, I will honestly welfare them right now.
Give me. If you're a medical student, you use Lori, and you know hold that again, grab her. All right. So thank you for sharing that. And I actually wanted to establish the fact that will you spend everything or save everything? Because there's a balance to it, right?
Yes, there is.
Yeah. So more like if you had a present need, you'll still like save a portion, right?
Definitely.
All right. So thank you for that. I have a question here. It says, why do you think students struggle so much with money?
I think that students struggle most with money because they are not earning. So since we are not earning, there's a way we spend the money that we have. Number one, the money that we have as students is not worked for. It's given to us. Allowance, friends, gifts, donations or something. So the way we spend it mostly, we don't spend it from a place of I work for it, I earn it. We spend it that they gave me this money, I need to buy this, I spend it. Yeah, so because the way we spend money is not the same way our parents spend money. When our parents receive their income, there's a way they spend it. They there's allocation, there's responsibility. Even because we want and there's this. Well, as students, we receive the money. The next thing from someone like me, the next thing for me is food. I like food. I really hope it shows on my body. So the next thing for me is food. For somebody else, there was a time that I was a earring fanatic, and if I have money, I'm buying the next earring IT and all about that. But majorly is food. But for students, the way we spend money is majorly dependent on how we get the money. When your parents send you money, you know that. Let's say it's allocated to you for a month. There's a way you spend it. Oh, you don't have the end of the month. So but let's say your uncle sends you money. What's the next thing? I don't know. It differs for people. So basically, that's the major thing that affects how students spend money.
So you think more like the source of the money determines how we spend it?
Yes.
Whether we spend it wisely or not.
Yes.
That's real actually, because I can read that. So I have here, I feel like one major issue is not knowing the difference between needs and wants. So for you, who I know has, had a form of financial discipline over the years, how have you been able to like strike that balance in knowing when to spend your money, or like you have a pressing need, and when something is just a want and you can always like go, you can get it later?
Yes. For me, the distribution factor between a need and a want is time. The time factor. Let's say if something is a need, if time passes over it, you still have to buy that thing. Let's say you don't have food stuff, you better stay your food stuff and you need to buy rice. Whether you buy it now or later, you are still going to buy the rice. Unless you will not eat rice. Exactly. So if time passes over it and you can live without that thing, it's a want. So if time has gone and maybe you're considering, let me use myself as an example. I was considering buying this earring. Oh, I have these collections of earrings. But I don't have this exact type yet. Or let's say I have gold, silver. I don't have a lot of that. People should not be disputed. Or like I don't have acrylic, or I don't have resin or something. And I'm like, there's this dress that I want to like wear it with. That it makes it seem like I see that earring is a need at that time because I need it to combine it with this particular dress. But when time passes over, I don't know. There is another one I can compare, like I can combine with it in the long run and still go well, and to still go with it. And maybe what will also determine is if there's a more pressing want, like a want that is not a need, but it's more pressing than that earring at that point. Yes. So the major distribution factor between a need and a want is what you can live without, and what you can, let's use the word survive, what you can survive with or what you can't survive with. So for once, you just want it to satisfy your ego or to feel good or to impress, but you need it to live. Let's say food, water, basic needs.
Yeah, data.
Data.
Let's not forget that.
Let's not forget that. Data is so but so it's like we can't. Most of what is actually like taking most students' money is data.
Yes.
And it can be a need, it can be a want.
Yeah.
Data can be both.
Yeah. But I feel like for our parents, they always feel like it's the one that we like more. But we know how important it is, and we also know how we can also waste money on it, probably to do other things that might not really make sense and all that.
You know that meme of your classmates will graduate before you. Before you come back, it's real. It is real because you can be asleep one moment and the next moment something is happening. And if you're not online, you will miss that information. Exactly.
Thank you so much for that. And for you, so far, that has helped you spend wisely, right?
Yes, it has. It has. Let's using data as an example. There's a time that I did not like spending my money on data. It really felt like a waste of my money. And there was this uncle that I had that he was into like this data business, and he was like, if he was going to buy data, he would prefer to, while having that data, he's also still making money from that data. You know, most of our students now, we are involved in most things that involve soft skills.
Yeah.
So you have to buy data for your business. You have to have data for your school needs or whatever you need. So it's like a win-win. You have data for what you need and you have data for what you want.
Yeah.
Yes. So that works. But at that time, I was not me buying data. I'm not making money from it. So I felt like at that time. So if I need data, I'll call my dad. That we send data. But you send too money. No, that one is not for data. You cannot transfer that one as for data. So I actually at the time balancing my finances with my data, because at that time data was not something valuable to me. So the way I would spend my money depends on the value I place. So at that time, data had no value in my eyes. So I was not allocating any part of my finance to data. But when I realized that I needed data to survive in school, I needed data so that I will know like basic information, class schedules and all. I was probably to make research that increased the value of data in my eye, and then I was able to allocate this amount of money. But I still do data free breaks. Like if I don't want to spend my money on data and it is not really present, I'm in the middle of a posting on, there's a way I can go about it. Maybe I have my roommate is in the same posting as I am. I can ask for information. Okay, when is class?
And there are different data plans.
And exactly, there are different data plans. So I feel like we're spending too long on data, but the best thing for data is buying in bulk. Anything basically in life, buying in bulk. Food stuffs, yes. I told you that I was studying my statement of accounts, and the analysis I got is that I had too many frequent, will I say, short spendings. Like I was spending more, like what's that word now? I was spending more for short things I can get together in bulk. Yes. And thank God for AI. AI was like, I should pack everything I need during a week, combine them together. I like kuli a lot, so I buy kuli a lot. Why not buy kuli in bulk? Yes, so and that will also even reduce the VAT on that money you're spending over frequently. So if you can make a bulk purchase, it's always better. For data, it's even the best because we are conserving in many ways.
Thank you for that. So do you think students should be saving even if they don't have much?
So for this, I think it depends on your pocket. Yes, if you are faithful in little, you can be faithful in much. But you should save. But you should not save at the expense of your basic needs. That's living miserly. Let's say let me use an example. Your parents send you 5K. Let me use a week, because a month you will not survive if you're in this country that we are in right now. So let's say your parents send you 5K and you need to buy rice. 3 Congo, for example.
How much is 3 Congo?
That's even more than 5K. Exactly. So you're not like, let's use 2 Congo, for example. That's like around 4,000 something. And you're like, let me save 10% of my 5K.
That's not worth
it. That's my point exactly. So it depends on your pockets. If you can afford to save, if you can save and your needs and your surviving mechanism will not be affected, you should definitely save. But if you are going to be saving at the expense of your living, that is detrimental, and that's no wisdom. Exactly. So as students, we should save, yes, but not at the expense of your basic needs and your living.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I like the balance that you put into it. In that it's wise to save, but then it's also wisdom to know when to save and when not to save. So our topic, to spend or to save, is not about picking one that, oh, I will always spend my money, or oh, I will always save. None is better. It's about like creating a balance and knowing that, okay, I have much now, I should save now. And even if, let me correct what I said, even if you don't have much, the goal is to create a habit of saving, not about how much you save. It's about having a saving culture over time. So if you're a student and probably you don't earn as you would love to earn, even if you are working, if you can like remove a certain percentage by your own self after looking at your expenses and everything. If
Your
you can
budget.
remove your budget, actually remove a percent and it won't really affect you, do that. Even if it's 500 per month,
Emphasis
still
on it, it
saving.
will not affect you.
Exactly. Thank you for that. Even if it's 500 or 1k, like you can't say you want.
It's not about the amount.
Exactly. It's about building that habit.
Consistency over time.
Yeah. Because over time you'll see that even when you earn much more, you'll be able to save because you've like had the habit. It's like fighting. Has like a Christian and you are like, okay, 20k. To remove 2k out of 20k is looking like a lot. But then you learn to actually like pay your tithe and everything. When you have 200k, to remove 20k
will not be a problem. Exactly.
So don't think that, oh, because it's 20k, 2k is looking like a lot. When you have that 200k or that 2 million that you feel like, oh, when you have it, you save. Trust me, you won't pay your tithe by then, and you won't also save by then. So it's about building a habit, a saving culture, over trying to prove a point or trying to save a particular significant amount.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot from my host. Well, let me just add one more thing. And there's something called lifestyle creep. Like there's the way you spend when you have more, and there's the way you spend when you have less. But you have to balance, like you have to be so very careful about when you spend when you have more. There's this normally you already have this thing that you need daily. There's this budget that you're working with. But the moment you get a little more above that your budget, this thing looks good. Something that you were not even looking at before. So it's like a lifestyle creep. Like the moment you get more, you tend to spend more. It's like the moment you upgrade, you're spending so much to upgrade that your taste has changed. Your taste has changed. So normally you will buy pure water pure water before, but I have more money now. Let me buy table water. Let me enjoy pure water. So like we really have to like avoid that lifestyle creep. If you can live without something, live without it. Yeah, you don't have to prove a point. You are not impressing anybody. So if you are earning more, that is an indication that you should save more. Yeah. Exactly. So don't ever fall into that lifestyle because it happens to us a lot as students. That day when even as adults too. Well, let's stick with students. The day you receive your allowance, that day you say item 7. Yeah, item 7. The best thing is when it now clashes with the day you finish your exam. Oh, let me enjoy myself. Let me treat myself to something good or something. No, which is actually very good. Sometimes we really need that. We really need that. But there's a wisdom to it actually. Yeah. There is a wisdom to it. So you should really be careful about when you have more. You should study how you spend when you have more than when you have less. So when you have less, you're trying to manage. You don't have a choice. The money will start exactly. But the most thing is you tracking when you have more. How do you spend when you have more? Is it when you have more that you think you realize that, oh, there's this thing I want to get on? So the first thing is tracking when you. Thank you so much for that. You're so wise. See, my host is whining me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Alright, so reading this, I sent this down before now. A lot of us are not actually broke. We just have a habit of impulse spending. Do you want to talk about that? Yeah, but like I just want to talk about that impulse buying. One thing is, if there is no budget, you will not even know that you are spending impulsively. Yeah. So that for that, like there has to be a standard, something that you are working with. That's what will help you know if you are spending above what you plan. There has to be a plan. It's just this thing of farming and plenty. If there's no time of plenty, you will not even know when there's time of farming. So for impulse buying, that means you have a culture of planning out what you need or budgeting what you need per month, per week, whichever way works for you. So for impulse buying, it takes somebody that is intentional about what they plan to buy to see that they're impulsively buying. Somebody that doesn't even care, that spends money anyhow. Person doesn't even know, I impulsively bought this thing. So it's a thing of you acknowledging that, oh, this is what I actually plan to buy. Now this is what I'm buying. Was this in the plan? Was this not in the plan? So impulse buying stems from if there was even a plan in the first place. That's the basics. So if there was no plan in the first place, you would not even realize that you impulsively bought something. Even though that thing might have been a need. you will not realize it. That's my stand on impulse buying. But the moment you realize that, oh, I bought this in impulsive, I feel like that's a breakthrough. That's a breaking point. For you to realize it in the first place, that will help you to know, oh, I shouldn't have done this. There's a way I could have spent my money. I could have bought it some other time. I do not need it now. Because even some needs, you do not need it that now, that particular time. Yeah. So
the thing is, money isn't really the issue a lot of times, because there are sometimes where we actually have much more, but then we just like squander everything and then we are back to square
zero.
So it's
Not
always
one.
about it's always about financial discipline. More like, can you say no to yourself?
That's the
Now, can you say no?
Can you? That's even the point buying.
Can you say no to yourself? So that's actually it, honestly, because you discover that times when you develop this financial discipline, more like self-control and self-awareness on your spending and all, you tend to save more. You tend to know what they need and what they want, and you tend to like allocate your finance wisely. All right, before we delve into like the template question, I want you to like share your experience with your finance. Do you see?
Yes, but why the yes was not so sharp is because I save towards goals. I do not just save randomly. That there has to be something I'm looking forward to. There has to be like a goal that I'm working towards for me to save. Because I'm a student, I'm not earning. So it's when the need arises that I save.
Yeah, and that has been working for you, right?
Yes, there's always a need every time.
So do you use a platform, but more like an app, or you?
I use OPay. OPay is still the best for because there is minimal
If you talk about
okay. For OPay, I'm sure most of us are using OPay. Exactly, and like there's that way you can lock your money in for a period of time that you're not spending it, and when you spend it, it attracts the consequences. I think for everything that we do in life, once there is a consequence attached, that when you remove this money, you will lose this particular thing, or maybe a charge will be paid. You help exactly the same way you apply. So when you lock the money in an account that does not have a debit card, I know you have to go to the nearest bank to get your money, and the nearest bank is probably far. The stress will make you rethink. So that works for me because for me, my saving, I do not use many OPay. I have like a GT bank that I cannot transfer. So the money, any money that enters my GT bank, I cannot spend it randomly. Any money that enters my GT bank is locked there forever. And I'm very, let me not say I'm very lazy. I'm very lazy. But I really try to rethink my life. If I have to stand up on my bed and go to PS or go to bank or something. So that GT bank is like a major platform I use for my savings. Because I know for me to withdraw that money, I'll go to a level of stress to get money. And that's like the system attacks in the saving. But for most students, I feel like okay, will still work better for us. Because that one is doing better because there is like an interest that is added. And like you're getting more than you're putting. And that's it. For any saving, if you're going to be saving your money, save it somewhere that is increasing. Actually, and that brings us to the place of talent. That like I always like that idea talent parable in the Bible where the master allocated talent to them. And what struck me was when the guy with one talent came back, and the master was like, "The least you could have done for me is to place this money in the bank." I mean, I accumulated interest. I always wondered why did this guy think to go put it under the why did you do that? Yes. So everything boils down to stewardship and how you channel the money that is in your hand, and it still boils down to values. Exactly. What do you value? What do you spend money on? Why do you spend money? The motive. Exactly. So for any student out there, OPay is still the OPay, they are really doing well. Please, but advertising for OPay. Alright, thank you so much for that. So we have a question here from a teenager. It reads, "Hi Phoebe, my name is Peace and I'm 17 years old. I'm quite interested in becoming financially responsible, but I don't even have much to start with. How do I know when to spend and when to save?" Hello, Peace. Imaginary Peace, nice to meet you. Alright, okay. So, as our hostess really emphasized in this session, it's not about the money. It's not about the amount. Because Peace mentioned that she does not have much to start with. It is not how much. Back to the story of the talent. It was not about the amount that the master allocated. It is how much you can do with the little that you have. And thank God that I think that what is in our hands per time is what we can handle. for most of us, what we can't handle will not come into our hands. I don't know how to explain that, but it's like, because I always thought about, why did the master not ask that, how many talents do you want each person? Like, he just gave it to them. Exactly. So he did not ask them that, how much can you handle? You know, there is a measure of gifts or ability or resource that is given onto each person, and it's a measure onto the ability, onto your ability, or onto how much you can handle. So it is not about how much that his ad is, how much can she handle, how much can she manage. That's the word. How much can she manage? How much will be kept in her hand that will yield something more than what was placed in her hand? So but the master did not ask them how much do you want, because the man said, this was, because you actually don't know how much you can handle. Actually, it's the master that knows how much you can handle.
One talent goes 5.
What would have happened? The master would have lost a lot. So he knew what he, because I'm like, how did the master know that the guy with the 10 talents is going to reproduce 10 more? That's because he knew his ability. He knows that if I put much into this, it would bear much. And why did you not think that the guy with the 5 talents, that even go by 5 talents, and if he had given him more, it would have broken? But who knows, if he had given him more, it would have been like the talent of one. Yes, so peace is not about how much, it's about how well. It's not how far, but how well. It's how well you can do with the little that is in your hand. So what's the, sorry, please, can you repeat the question? How do I know when to spend and when to save? There is no hard and fast about it. There's no rule about it. It's not about always spend. It's not about always save. And Phebe said, it's a balance between the two. And that's the question that she's actually asking. How do I know when to spend or when to save? I'm saying, how you know when to save is when you have more than your needs. When you have set, but there's a rule of saving where you save first before spending. It's like you have 100%. Once you save your 15%, you already know that this 85% is what I'm working with. Exactly. But in a place where your needs or your basic needs, your survival needs are more than that, you cannot save at the expense of your living. Yeah. Exactly. So when you have more than you normally have, your first response should be to say that. It should not be to finally money for shawarma. We're not talking about any. Please enjoy your life. Enjoy your life, please. And like, don't be miserly. Actually, don't be miserly. When do things for yourself. If it's skincare, if it's hair care, take yourself out. Spend on yourself, because if the Bible says love people as yourself. As you love yourself. So if you cannot spend for yourself, how are you going to spend for others? So there has to be like a way where you're comfortable with spending yourself. And it's also foolishness to save when you have pressing needs. Let's just say that's what I've been emphasizing. That's why I said you can be above your needs. Exactly. So it has to be that 18%. If you're working with 100%, you know that if you have more, as I said before, if you have more, you can, the best thing is to save first and then work your needs around the 85% like that. But if you don't have more than your need, my dear, spend on your needs. Actually, spend on your needs. Thank you for that. I actually wanted to ask this. I don't know if it's like a valid answer, Sasha. Another thing, another way to know when to spend and when to save is that, okay, you know your needs, right? Probably you already have money for your needs and all. If you have wants that you feel like you can forgo, actually you should be able to forgo your wants. That's like they're called wants. If you have wants that you can forgo, you can actually save the money you would have spent on those wants. Because that's actually something that I've been doing lately. Because I'm not all perfect with my finance. Trust me, I've been learning from this episode. Kudos to our guest here. Because even before we started, she had like shared a few wisdom. So I feel like that thing has been helping me more. Like, I know that, okay, this thing, I don't need it now. I need it, but not now. Do you get? So the timing is all that matters. Yeah, you talked about timing. That was so like so thank you so much for that. Knowing your wants and your needs helps with knowing when to spend and when to save. All right. So we have our final question here. It says, in 1 minute, if you had an opportunity to advise your younger self on what we discussed today about money, what would you say? If I had an opportunity, as a child, I was always, I think now I know why it seems like I'm financially disciplined. I've always been like the child that saves. Yes. So if my mom knows that if she keeps something in my hand, like, I'm not going to spend it on biscuit or speedy. You know, we used to eat really as a child, so like she knew that about me, and I was like that child that you can keep something with, and that child that you know. My dad also does it too. If he has like a money that he doesn't want to spend, he does give me, because I'm not spending. I know if he gives it to my younger brothers, put it up, like they're going to go and buy the next video or something. So as a child, I think I would advise myself to live a little, like I do not have to be so rigid. Yes, like it was good. I remember those days. Like I was in boarding school, and like my parents would give me like 500 was a huge money. That so people should not look down my 500. Mom would give me 500 when she comes for visiting day, and like she'll come back the next visiting day. I'm still with that 500. I'm like, why was that like that? So even though I'm like more financially disciplined now that I'm older, I've learned to live a little. I've learned to spend when it's necessary. I maybe like, I can save this money, but no, let me just live. Let me just spend this money. And now I remember what I'm talking about. Like even though if I spend, I don't feel guilty about what I spend on. Like I think that's something that if you spend your money on shawarma, there's no point crying about spending it. Don't bother stressing yourself on that. I could have saved money. Please eat it with all thanksgiving, rejoicing. Like I think that if my brother does this thing, like if he spends money, he has already spent the money. He has already spent money. Even after I'll spend this money, I could have bought it. Like there's no point crying about spending. Like there's no point thinking about. I think that's something about me. If I spend the money, if I spent it too, I would lavish in that thought that I spent it. I will not dwell on the thought that I could have done this, I could have done. There's a point of you can draw your lesson from me. There's a point of reflecting and coming back stronger. But there's no point you staying there, and there's no point being guilty about. So my advice to myself now and as a child is to live a little. You could have spent that 500. They will bring another 500.
But I think that was I like that? I don't remember.
It was like a really, really profound memory because even that time, so they will buy provision. And no wonder I'm not getting fat.
Oh God.
A lot of things. And okay, when my younger brother like joined me, then I used to give him. Maybe I don't know if I don't like those things or I was just being food miserly for nothing. I don't even understand. I think I even need to reflect more on that. But I'm a better person now. That I'm older. I'm living a little. At least I'm spending my money on earrings.
I'm not on skincare.
Okay, I will take that. But I'm not really spending my money on skincare.
But you look good.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. It's the glory of the Lord radiating all over me.
Okay. All right. To wrap up, there's something I wrote down that is more like a summary of what we've said from the onset. It's not only about saving or only spending. It's about balance, knowing when each one is appropriate. A lot of times, this is for students. A lot of times, what's really driving our decisions is a lack of contentment. Trying to impress people we don't need to impress with money we don't need to spend. So you might want to reflect on that. All right, Phoebe, it's been a pleasure having this conversation with you.
It really has been a pleasure talking about these things about money. Don't worry, I'll be back when I have money to give you guys more money making gist. No, now I need to teach you guys how to catch the fish. I'm not just give you the fish,
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so people, we have our affirmations here, and you have to repeat after me. I, Atolagbe Phebe, is that your name?
Hi, Atolagbe Phebe.
I am a city set on a hill.
I am a city set on a hill.
I am God's workmanship.
I am God's workmanship.
I am carefully and wonderfully made.
I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
God didn't make any mistakes with me.
God didn't make any mistake with me.
God is my father.
God is my father.
And He loves me so much.
And He loves me so much.
I am God backed.
I am God backed.
So we've come to the end of this episode. Thank you all for joining us, and I'm sure you've learned a lot, a lot of wisdom. Yeah. Thanks to our amazing guest.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done that, and please turn on the notification bell so that when next we drop our video, you'll be the first person to see it. And please don't forget to like, don't forget to drop a comment, and share this video with as many people as possible. Until next time, bye.